The power of words and the three-word principle. 1. Why do we get interrupted so often? In almost every kind of conversation, boardrooms, classrooms, even family dinners, being interrupted is something we've all experienced. You're presenting an idea, and suddenly someone cuts in, changes the topic, or drowns you out with a louder voice. In that moment, frustration, insecurity, even anger rise up. You either stop talking or react offensively. The Stoics wrote deeply about composure in communication. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen more than we speak." Yet this doesn't mean we must surrender and let others dominate. On the contrary, it means learning to use simple but powerful language to keep control of the conversation without losing our calm. 2. 3 power words, psychology behind them. Modern behavioral psychology shows that when a statement begins with a short, clear positioning cue, listeners instinctively pause and pay attention. It's like a mental signal telling them something important is coming. So their brains switch into focus mode. In negotiations, for example, phrases like "listen to me" or "imagine this" instantly make people stop and tune in. This is the power of trigger words. Your exact 3 words will vary depending on context, but they all share 3 traits. Short and easy to grasp. A gentle directive rather than a blunt order, stimulating either curiosity or a sense of respect. For instance, "Please allow me," said calmly, feels entirely different from "don't interrupt me." One invites attention, the other provokes resistance. 3. Stoic lesson. Control yourself before controlling the room. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Serenity is the fortress of the soul. No one can invade it unless you open the gates." For your 3 words to work, you need inner steadiness. If you're angry or anxious, even the best phrase won't sound authoritative. Step 1 is not memorizing a magic phrase. It's settling your mind and slowing your pace, so your tone, eye contact, and body language all signal calm presence. This is what makes people instinctively stop and listen. 4. Real-life illustration. Picture yourself presenting an idea in a meeting. A colleague keeps interjecting. Instead of saying, "Stop cutting me off," which sparks conflict, you look at them and say gently, "Please allow me to finish this point first." Those first 3 words, delivered with steady voice and sincere eye contact, make them pause. Their brain hears a reasonable request, not an attack. Or with your child at home, instead of barking, don't talk back. You say, "Wait for mom to finish, okay?" Those first 3 words are soft but directive, shaping behavior without confrontation. 5. Building your own 3-word cue. In negotiations, "Please allow me." In presentations, "Let me briefly." In debates, "First, may I?" The common formula is inviting verb plus pronoun plus action. The point isn't a fixed magic spell, but framing, helping the other person feel respected while you hold the floor. 6. Practicing until it's second nature. You can train like this. Identify situations where you're often interrupted. Choose a 3-word cue for each and write it down. Practice saying it slowly, in a low, calm tone with a slight smile. Use it in real situations. Like martial arts, only repeated practice turns it into instinct. 7. The deeper principle, soft power in speech. Stoicism emphasizes emotional mastery. Modern leadership calls it soft power. You don't overpower others with volume or status, but with calm presence and concise words. 3 words are simply the gateway that makes people listen. The Romans said, "Catacet cons entire videtur." Silence implies consent. But wise silence isn't the same as being steamrolled. Sometimes a gentle opening phrase is all it takes to keep your composure and regain control without a fight. 8. An inspiring story. A young female lawyer in New York once shared how, early in her career, male colleagues constantly cut her off. The louder she tried to speak, the more they overrode her. Later, she learned the 3-word technique. Whenever she began an important point, she looked directly at them, smiled slightly, and said, Please allow me to finish this thought. Over time, she not only kept the floor, but also built a reputation as confident and composed. 9. Pairing the words with goodwill. If you use these words just to win arguments, their effect will fade. But if your goal is to preserve the flow of dialogue and mutual respect, listeners sense your good faith and willingly pause. This reflects Stoic ethics in speech. Aim your heart at what is good. Action will follow. 10. Interruption often happens because there's no clear signal you're about to say something important. 3 power words aren't fixed, but follow a simple structure that cues listeners to stop. Their effectiveness starts with your own calm tone and steady presence. Real-life examples show how soft power works. The silent power behind the 3 words. In the previous part, we uncovered the ancient and modern roots of the 3-word principle. Now let's go deeper. Why these words possess such extraordinary power, and how to weave them naturally into conversations so no one dares interrupt you. Not because of fear, but because they are compelled to listen. The unseen power of emotional resonance. Every human conversation is not only an exchange of information, but also of emotion. People may forget what you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. The 3-word formula works because it strikes directly at emotional resonance. When you utter these words with calm authority, they communicate confidence, clarity, and an unspoken respect for the other person's space. Think about a seasoned teacher in a crowded classroom. The students may be restless, yet a single steady phrase, just a few words, makes everyone turn their heads. Not because the teacher is loud, but because they speak from presence. This presence is what you cultivate when you use the 3 words correctly, controlling the rhythm of speech. Another secret lies in rhythm. Most people speak too quickly when nervous. Quick speech invites interruptions. Slow, deliberate speech creates a natural pause that draws listeners in. By combining the 3 words with a slight pause, you build an invisible rhythm. The audience senses something important is coming, so they instinctively hold their tongues. This technique is used by great orators from Marcus Aurelius to Martin Luther King Jr. They weren't just talking. They were conducting a symphony of silence and sound. Your 3 words are the downbeat of that symphony. The psychology of authority without aggression. Authority built on force always provokes resistance. Authority built on self-control commands respect. The 3 words work because they project quiet confidence. They tell the listener, I am here. I know my point. You may not agree, but you will hear me out. Here's a real-world illustration. A young manager named Min, fresh out of university, had to lead a team twice his age. At first, his meetings were chaos. Everyone talking over each other. He tried speaking louder. Nothing worked. Then he learned to start his statements with the 3 words, followed by a steady pause. Within weeks, the energy in the room shifted. People began waiting for him to speak, curious about what came next. He hadn't changed his content. He had changed his presence. Practicing the 3-word principle. To master this, practice in low-stakes settings first. Choose a conversation with friends. When you're about to share something important, start with the 3 words and slow your tone. Notice how they react. Do they lean in? Do they stop scrolling on their phones? Next, bring it into professional life. In a meeting, when the room gets noisy, do not shout. Simply use the 3 words, steady and clear. Pause, then continue. Over time, you'll see a transformation, not only in how others treat you, but in how you feel about your own voice. Integrating respect and listening. Finally, remember that the 3-word principle is not a weapon to dominate. It's a bridge to deeper respect. You're not just asking others to listen. You're modeling how to listen. After you use the words and make your point, listen fully to their response. This reciprocal respect turns ordinary exchanges into meaningful dialogue. In essence, the 3 words work not because they're magic, but because they awaken the timeless laws of human communication: presence, rhythm, and respect. When combined, these create a silent force no one wants to break. Mastery, living the three-word prank. Up to now, we've explored the origin of the three-word formula and its psychological power. In this final part, we'll move from understanding to mastery, how to internalize the principle so it becomes a natural part of your voice, not just a trick you pull out when you need it. When practiced this way, the three words become an X, from technique to habit. Most communication techniques fade if they're only performed mechanically. The three-word principle is no different. To transform it into a habit, you need conscious repetition. Every time you enter a conversation, silently remind yourself of two things: presence and pause. The three words are the doorway to both. Over weeks, your nervous system begins to associate these words with calm authority. You can compare this to learning a martial art. At first, each movement is awkward and deliberate. Over time, it becomes fluid, almost invisible. True mastery is when technique disappears and only presence remains. Example: Alex, a young project manager, was terrified of presenting to senior executives. He would rush through his slides, speaking so quickly that his ideas lost impact. He began practicing the three-word principle in front of a mirror, slowly repeating his opening line with the three words first, pausing, and then speaking. After a month of practice, his presentation style changed completely. Slower, more deliberate, and commanding. Executives who used to check their phones now looked up and took notes. Building a voice that co. When you have internalized the three-word principle, your voice changes. It slows slightly. It deepens. It carries weight without force. People pick up on this immediately. In psychology, this is called paralinguistic power, the influence of tone, rhythm, and pa. Example: Maria, an EXE, Tate, the magic of the three. Example: David, a custom, practicing, true mastery show. Example: during a tense, integrat, at its highest L. Think of leaders. Example: do, the quiet transform. As you live this principle, and perhaps most importantly, you begin to listen, bringing it all to the three-word principle is simple, yet behind its simplic. Start small, practice daily, use it to speak. I